Hi everyone, it's Phil here from Ashland Leather. I wanted to show you a closer look at some Cobalt Blue Dublin products today, and we'll talk about Cobalt Blue Dublin a little bit in and of itself. Let's have a preview of some of the stuff that's shipping out today. There's a vault key holder in Cobalt Blue Dublin, an extra large comb sheath in Cobalt Blue Dublin, a Fat Herbie in Cobalt Blue Dublin, Johnny the Fox in Cobalt Blue Dublin. There's a Fat Herbie in a special raw denim and raw natural shell cordovan, a 100% color 8 shell cordovan Johnny the Fox, and a black all reverse shell cordovan Johnny the Fox. I have 4 different Bugs Marantz to show you. There's a color 8 marbled pear, a cigar and mahogany shell cordovan, and an amaretto shell cordovan. I have a one-shot card holder in color 4 with a double print, a whiskey shell cordovan Frank the Enforcer. There are 5 Tony the Ants to show you, garnet shell cordovan, color 8 all reverse, natural chrome excel, English tan Dublin, and Cobalt Blue Dublin. And last but not least, an Apple Watch Band in ultraviolet reverse. And let's take a closer look at the Cobalt Blue Dublin leather from Horween. And if you're not familiar with Dublin, the Dublin is a vegetable tanned full grain leather. And what that means for vegetable tanned is that it has a natural character to it, and it develops a very nice patina. All veg tan leathers tend to have an ability to change color the more you wear it, but it also develops layers of luster. And full grain, if you look very closely here, you can see all the fine detail in the grain. And that's what we call a full grain leather. None of that has been sanded down or smoothed out, so you get a really pronounced grain character on the Dublin, and Horween offers it in a bunch of colors. I have it here in the Cobalt Blue Dublin. We also do black and English tan, but the Cobalt Blue Dublin is a color that is going to become a little bit more rare for you to see from us. It's going to be more of a limited edition color, but I wanted to show you some of the Cobalt Blue Dublin wallets that are going out today. So take a look here. This is a Fat Herbie in that really beautiful color. The undertones of the Cobalt Blue are a little bit more of like an aqua shade, and then the surface is a little bit more of a dark navy. And you can see when I flex the leather, I can reveal a little bit more of the undertones of the Dublin, and it's a little bit more of like an aqua shade. So if I flex it up here, you can see a little bit more of those aqua blue tones come out. This Fat Herbie has been personalized for Yoga, who I know has checked out these videos before and has hung out in one of the live streams I did last week. So thanks so much, Yoga, for picking up this Fat Herbie. I can't wait for you to have that. And I have a couple other items. This is a key case. This is a vault key case in the Cobalt Blue Dublin. This one's also been personalized as a special gift. A little note for their partner on the inside, Love Sunshine. I thought that was really cool. And then here's another special request. This is an extra large comb sheath, again in the Cobalt Blue Dublin. So Chicago Comb makes several different models of combs. This one is for a Model 6 comb. You can see how long it is. And I had a special request to make this sheath in the Cobalt Blue. And there's something magical getting a large context of leather. So it's fun to see this comb sheath for me, just a little bit more selfishly. Here's another Cobalt Blue Dublin, Tony the Ant. The Tony the Ant is a very similar aesthetic to the Fat Herbie, which is this one here. You can see where we have that exterior bill slot and these sort of curves that have become part of our style on the bill slot, but also on the interior. Those curves are sort of what we've become known for. And people really liked the style of the Fat Herbie, and for a long time they were asking us to make a smaller version. And the Tony the Ant is what we came up with, that bill slot in the back, but we have 4 card slots on the inside that are stacked on top of each other. And the last Cobalt Blue Dublin wallet I wanted to show you today, this is the 3rd one we had left, and there's only 2 more available. This is Cobalt Blue Dublin on the Johnny the Fox. So we have Cobalt Blue Dublin on the exterior with that incredible grain character, really nice depth of color. On the interior, we have more Cobalt Blue Dublin, and this is special horsehide that Horween made for us. It's hard for us to get thin pieces of any leather, really, let alone like a special color like the Cobalt Blue. So we have all those layers of leather, and they had to make it thin so we don't bulk up the thickness. And you can see here, the wallet is not thick at all. It's just a perfect thickness, and I really like this sort of navy aqua blue color on the Cobalt Blue Dublin. And here's another really nice sort of rare blue shade. This is a Fat Herbie in raw denim shell cordovan on top of raw natural shell cordovan on the exterior. Take a look at how nice that raw denim is and the raw shell. It doesn't have that bright shiny luster like a normal piece of shell has. It's a little bit more subtle, but what's cool about the raw shell is the more that this is worn, the more bright and shiny the leather becomes. And it starts to develop layers of luster, so we start to see a surface that becomes a little bit more bright and shiny. It's very mirror-like on the surface, but then the leather also has this weird thing that happens where the luster starts to develop from inside of the leather. So you get these interesting layers of luster that are really cool on something like the raw natural on the top piece there. That gets a lot darker and golden brown, as well as develop that bright shiny luster. So this is a special Fat Herbie. Take a look at that Horween ink stamp cut right in the center. We have raw denim all over the inside of this one. On this Fat Herbie, there was a special request made to have some additional hidden card slots included. And that's a slight upcharge, but this Fat Herbie turned out really well. And then I have a pair of Johnny the Fox to show you. Speaking of special thin pieces, this is a 100% color 8 shell cordovan. And it's really hard, really hard for us to get the thin pieces of shell that are required for the interior of this wallet. And again, I'll give you a look at the cross section here because it's not easy to keep this wallet thin and still have all these layers of leather. So this John the Fox is going out today. We only have a few left on the 100% color 8 shell cordovan, but there's also this really interesting black all reverse Johnny the Fox. And I like the black reverse for the random dye marks and the random color. This one is a little bit lighter on the light range that we tend to see on the black reverse shell cordovan. It's a little bit more of like a greenish tan, but it's great to show off the random character that's on the reverse side of the shell cordovan, as well as showing off the Horween ink stamp that I know a lot of people are looking for on their shell cordovan piece. On the interior of this one, this is a good representation of the color range that I see on the reverse shells. So it ranges from that sort of yellowy green tan down to a darker, more forest green. Like in the middle piece here, where we've included that ink stamp, that's about as dark as it gets. But this one has a good range from what I see on all the reverse shell cordovan in a black color. I have one Frank the Enforcer to show you today. Take a look at that. This is whiskey shell cordovan, and the shell on this is, as I tend to say, magical. It's a really nice, bright, shiny luster, totally smooth, and a really great depth of color. You can see there's a bit of a color shift that happens on this one. Depending on what angle you look at it, it gets a little bit lighter and a little bit darker. I sometimes like to sit here and spin the wallets around just to see that color shift happen. I think that's really fun. Take a look at the back side. On the back of these, we have one card slot. We originally designed it this way to keep the bulk down. I find when you put a lot of cards in a pattern like this, the more cards you put in or cash, it tends to be a little bit more difficult to use the more and more you put inside of it. And I have one-shot card holder to show you today. And this one's in that really interesting color 4 shell cordovan. But you can see very obviously there's a special texture on here. And this is a texture that Skip Horween did one time. And what it is it's a print that's been printed 2 times, but in 2 different directions. So this doesn't really exist outside of these one-shots here. Actually, we only sold one of these. So this is the only one that's sold. So I was actually kind of surprised that more of these didn't go out. But they're really cool. Maybe I just didn't do a good enough job explaining it. A lot of people are looking for like a hatch grain, box board sort of texture on the shells. It's a little bit more of like a dressy look. And I thought it would be fun to include it on the one-shot so you can experience this in person. And I have a stack of 4 different Bugs Morans to show you today. And these are really fun to look at, the marbled shell cordovan. Take a look here at that really interesting texture and random color in this color 8 marbled shell. That is really cool. And I brought out 2 of them, not just because the 2 are going out today, but they're so random in texture that they're all unique and different. And that's why I wanted to show you both of these, maybe side by side. So you can get a sense here the highs and lows in the color. Some are darker, some are lighter. The texture is all random, so each of these are unique to each wallet and to each person that receives them. I'll give you a look at the inside here, more of that really interesting marbled color 8 shell. And I'll give you a look at the other one as well. Take a look here. Get some more of that random look of the die just layers of stain on there that have been slowly scraped away. I think that looks really great. And here's another really interesting one. This Bugs Moran has a cigar shell cordovan piece on the outside, which is a tough color to get. The cigar is a rare shell color, but I don't think I've seen much of this on the inside. This is mahogany shell cordovan. I'm a little hesitant to show this because I don't know if I'll ever be able to see a piece of mahogany shell again. It's very similar to some other existing colors. It's a little color 4, a little whiskey. It's almost like a dark whiskey shade, I would say. It's like a medium brown, a little bit of golden hues to it, tiny bit of orange maybe, and a little bit of yellow. That's what I see in it. But on the outside here, this is the cigar, that neutral brown shade. Not much of red or orange or green going on in this one. It's very neutral, and then mahogany on the inside. And let me show you my favorite shell color. This is the Amaretto shell cordovan. Take a look at that beautiful glassy luster on the interior of that one. On the exterior, it's also very nice. So I like the Bugs Moran for this right here. It just fits perfectly in your hand. I think the form factor is just perfect on the Bugs Moran, which is interesting because at first, I mentioned earlier that we made this Tony the Ant to be a smaller version of the Fat Herbie. And at first we had people that wanted this without a bill slot. So we were making the Bugs Moran that looked like the interior of the Tony, but without the bill slot in the back. If you look closely at the center here, this is a little bit wider than the Bugs Moran. We actually made some iterations to get it just the perfect size. So the Bugs Moran is like a shrunken down Tony the Ant with no bill slot on the back. But this one right here, this Garnet Shell Cordovan Tony, there's something in this one that blew me away. When I was polishing this up, giving it a quick brush, this piece of garnet shell is going to have to be my stunner of the day. Take a look at this perfectly smooth, glassy piece of garnet shell. And this one has an incredible feel to it. And all the shell cordovan is finished by hand. And there's a special process called currying that's also done by hand. So the amounts of waxes and oils can vary from piece to piece. This one is about as good as it gets. And I'm going to sort of linger on this piece because I just love it so much. A really nice piece of garnet shell. And the garnet shell cordovan, there's a couple things to say about it. It's the most red shade of shell cordovan that Horween makes, but it's also the same. I'm going to be careful with my words here. It's the same as color 2. So garnet has replaced color number 2 from Horween. And the reason they did that is they were picking special light shells to make the color 2 before. But they decided to start making more of the color 2, which is also known as ruby. They decided to start making more, so they were just doing what they call straight run. And they weren't selecting particularly light colored shells that were inherently light. And because of that, they decided to change the name. So now color 2 is known as garnet, and this is one of the nicest pieces of garnet shell that I've ever seen. And let's take a look here at 3 more Tony the Ants. Take a look at this one first. The random dye marks on this color 8 all reverse Tony are super cool. And we don't do a lot of all reverse Tonys. We will do them by request. We tend to make more of the all reverse Herbies for some reason. We get more requests for those, but look at all the random dye marks on this one. I'll try to give you a close-up because sometimes on the reverse shell, we get a little bit of grain character, which I think looks very, very nice. You can see it a little bit more on this middle piece here. A little bit of fine detail. And on the inside, we have reverse shell on the left and reverse shell on the right with the shell cordovan right down the center. All this is color 8 shell, so the reverse side of the color 8 is more of that orangey tan, as opposed to the black reverse that we saw earlier, which is a little bit more green. Let me give you a look here at another. This is one of our more popular pieces right now, the Tony the Ant in Natural Chrome Excel. And the Natural Chrome Excel is the most popular Chrome Excel color from Horween. I actually have several pairs of footwear in this leather. I think it's really, really comfortable. And if you're looking to check something out, I've been wearing the diesel boots from Grant Stone, and I think they're incredible. And take a look at the inside too. More natural Chrome Excel, and we finish off the unintended flesh side of the leather with a little bit of a resin coat to sort of seal it off, and I think it makes it look a little bit cleaner. And one more Tony the Ant to show you. This is English Tan Dublin. And I love the English Tan Dublin. It reminds me of my favorite shell color, that amaretto shell. And the customer that chose this one was asking us to pick the Tony with the most grain character possible. And this one has these really dramatic striations on the back. I'm gonna give you a little close up because it's so intense. The grain on here, I love that. I think that looks really cool. And we picked out the most intense one we had in stock. So I hope you love this if you check out this video. And inside, more of the English Tan Dublin, really great grain character here. And I have one final piece to show you here today. This is our Apple Watch band in the ultraviolet reverse. So you can see the part that's going to touch this person's wrist is the ultraviolet shell cordovan, which is like a deep purple with like vivid magenta undertones. It's really, really cool. And it has a great color shift to it that you might be able to see on this. It goes light to dark, dark to light. But the side that they would like to see, sort of facing out towards the world, is this reverse. And when I have people visit our shop and they get a look at all the different leathers we have, the ultraviolet reverse tends to stand out to people. It like really grabs people's attention. And I think it's because of these interesting sort of pink magenta dye splatters on the reverse side of the ultraviolet. So this is a cool Apple Watch band going out today, along with all these other wallets. So thank you guys so much for supporting us. Really appreciate it. If you have any questions about the Cobalt Blue Dublin, definitely let me know. But until next time, I hope you have a good one.